Next is public participation. We have 3 people who have signed up for participation. Let me read what our guidelines are, our rules. The board welcomes and encourages public participation. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures and decorum provided in board policy, which is BEDH, public participation at meetings. Your comments should be limited to 3 minutes, and Mr. Harris here will hold up signs, warning signs with 1 minute and 30 seconds. So if you'll make sure you look at that. And questions asked during public participation need to be placed in writing if you would like to have a response, and you will receive a written response in timely manner. And the board's policy is not to respond during public participation. So the first person, I'd like to ask Mr. Michael Bloom to come up.
Hey, what's going on? I read in the state paper that y'all are going to be asking for an increase on the property taxes and taxes because we're out of money. It's not true. There's a whole tremendous amount of waste going on. I have two kids. My youngest one, and I've been homeschooling for years now. My youngest one started Chapin High School in 9th grade this year because he decided, of his own volition, he decided he wanted to go back to public school. And when I got to the school, I was blown away that they, by the utter waste that I see what's going on. I did talk to Dr. The principal, Dr. Akil Smith or whatever, and the way I teach my kids, and my oldest one I still do, chalkboard, like actual chalkboard with actual chalk, it works. You don't need toys like iPads and stuff like that because they are toys. Because I've watched what the kids do with them, and everybody knows it. It's the truth. You can't deny it. They're toys. Do away with all that stuff. Go back to chalkboard and chalk and actually have the kids learning on the board, because if you do, then you understand. If you need money, do away with the superfluous toys. Just go back to the good old-fashioned way that works. My kids, and there's some other kids that are going to Chapin High School that were struggling in math and chemistry. I took them and tutored them. Again, chalkboard, chalk. Their grades improved dramatically. I don't use computers to teach. And a good teacher, they don't need to use a they don't need toys to teach either. In fact is, at Chapin High School, I'm sure y'all know, there's a elderly emeritus teacher there who teaches an SAT math class. He doesn't even have an email account. You take that SAT math, if one of the kids take that SAT math class, their points on that will go up by 150 points just on the SAT. He doesn't even have an email address. Chalkboard, chalk, it works. Want to save money? Do away with the toys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bloom. The next speaker is Ms. Murphy.
Good evening. It is interesting how things are playing out tonight. In the bulk of the sales presentations for the bond referendum, the school district represented in 2008 that in 10 years' time we were going to grow almost 9,000 more students. But 7 years later, we have less students, not more. In fact, the official enrollment for funding actually shows the district down 106 students from the district's highest enrollment in 2007. Well, the new schools are built, new schools that cost a lot of money, which comes out of the same pot of money to pay our teachers. So tonight, District 5 is proposing a very large increase, a tax increase. And you're using a new provision in the law that lets you recoup millage for up to 3 years previously if during that time you didn't increase tax rates to the maximum allowed by law. 3 years ago, the year that Vice Chairman Gant was up for re-election, the district didn't raise tax rates. They did, however, raise the budget, increased expenditures, but they funded it with funds collected from citizens by basically overtaxing them. A millage rate was used that collected more money than was necessary to fund the budget, in some years up to $6 million more. Now you want to recoup that millage? It's 9.3 mils. This is disingenuous. You have already overtaxed us once, and now you want to do it again. I appreciate you considering using fund balance. It's up to $32 million now. Use that this year, and then make a concerted effort to decrease your expenditures instead of increasing the millage rate. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. And our last speaker is Mr. Don Carlson.
Good evening. I have to confess that one of the real thrills I've had in life is participating in 5 different advisory committees in District 5. And the one that is the greatest longevity is the STEM program at Chapin High. And to that end, the instructor picks out each year the 2 most challenging projects from an engineering and manufacturing point of view. And then the students come over to my shop on weekends and evenings, and we construct it there. And I guess the culmination of all that was Jared Adams, who came to me earlier this year with an idea. And together we sat down and figured out a real good, solid design. And we manufactured it in my shop, and it was that specific design that he took with him and won his second place national award. And another concept was Project Lead the Way at Chapin High School. Now, this is a new program with the idea of which is to help students learn how to actually make things and design things. The only difficulty is the fact they didn't have any equipment. So I looked at what they thought they'd like to have, so as a result, my company bought them a floor-mounted drill press. So now they have at least one piece of equipment in their room to work with. And that certainly is a plus. But the other thing, I'd really trying to look at the numbers that I got from your presentation last week, that looking at the numbers as I got them, it says you have a budget shortfall of a little over $3 million. And if I use your number of 236,926 per mil, that says that 13.7 mils would amortize that amount. And you know, unless I've missed something, that's what your numbers would tell me. And I think that the important thing here is that a lot of people, I'm sure, recognize that everybody likes to help District 5, because never in my experience have I seen a school district that actually offers the breadth and the depth of opportunities for students that District 5 does, and that's really epitomized, I think, with this building right here. This is, to me, this is the pinnacle of what can you do to really give an absolute super experience to students. So I think that's really great, and Dr. Couch has done a fantastic job of it. But the thing I would like to point out, that people like me, I can afford my time and my shop's time helping students, because the cost of that is virtually nil. But I would like to be able to be in a position to buy more equipment for the Project Lead the Way thing. But if this tax proposal goes in, as I understand it, my company would no longer be able to afford that. So to me, that's a loss to me personally, but not financially, but it's ultimately a loss to the students of this district. And anyway, the thing I'd like to leave you with is the fact that in my experience, both nationally and internationally, I learned that the best decisions usually are ones that are of a consensus. And given that, I'd like to leave you with just a little thought to ponder. And basically, it is Guten Abend und für Sie viel Glück. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carlson. That concludes our public participation. We will now move to the action agenda. The first item is the items considered in executive session. May I have a motion? Ms. Baumgartner.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve selected employment items as shown in Exhibit A.
Is there a second? Ms. Lovelace seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, that passes 7-0. Next is the final reading of the general fund budget for 2015, 2016.